So you have in America today where we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had in the history of this country. That's just a fact. You have one man, Mr. Musk, owning more wealth than the bottom 52% of American families. One man, 52% of the American families. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 93%. You got CEOs of large corporations making 350 times what their workers make. And meanwhile, in this richest country in the history of the world, working class people are getting decimated. Today, and again, we don't talk about it in Congress for reasons that I hope I can get into.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it in the corporate media. 60%, 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I grew up in a family. I don't know your background, but I grew up in a family, lived paycheck to paycheck. And anyone who lives paycheck to paycheck understands that every single day is a struggle. You got to figure out how you feed the kids, rents, cost of housing in America off the charts, healthcare off the charts. So right now, as we talk, there are people worrying. My landlord, is going to raise my rent by 20%. What the hell do I do? Where do I go? What schools do my kid go to? How do I buy decent food for my kids? My mother is ill. How do I afford prescription drugs for my mother? My car breaks down. So if you have money, no one thinks of it. Your car breaks down, go to the mechanic, you get it fixed. You know what? A lot of people don't have $1,000 in the bank right now. If you don't have $1,000, your car breaks down. How do you get to work? If you don't get to work, you get fired. If you get fired, your whole life is disrupted. 60% of American.
How much different is that than past generations?
It's that we've always had rich and poor, no question about it. It's worse now, Joe.
What do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to decades-old attacks on the working class of this country. I attribute it to horrific trade agreements which have allowed corporate America to throw millions of workers out on the street and move to China, Mexico, and other low-wage countries. I attribute it to a corrupt political system in which billionaires have significant control over both political parties. So that, for example, right now in Washington, the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. So you got millions of workers today, making 10, 12, 13 bucks an hour. You tell me, how do people survive on 13 bucks an hour? When we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, you worked for a large company. You had something called a defined benefit pension plan. That means you work for me for 30 years. When you retire, you're going to get X hundreds of dollars a week. That's long gone. Corporations have gotten rid of that. So you got something like half of older workers in America have nothing in the bank when they face retirement. So I think, to answer your question, I think you got a rigged system controlled economically and politically by very, very wealthy and powerful people who could care less for working families. Now, I don't want to romanticize the old days because that would not be true. But there used to be a kind of a culture. If I was a boss and I ran a factory, I had a little bit of concern for you, right?
Right.
In general, I would say, I know your wife, how's your mom doing and all that stuff. That's gone. You got these companies that are owned by other companies that are owned by supranationals. We got involved in my office. We used to be the chairman of the labor committee, health, education, labor. So I got involved in a lot of stuff.